Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Clearly, we're a little rusty. If that thing went through, it feels like it's been a while, but we're here. Finally back after a week off, and I am not alone. I am joined by Cristian Putalias. Brother, how you been?
Hello. How's it going? Good, man. Good, man. A lot of soccer. Not a lot of Dynamo soccer, but a lot of soccer for sure, and everywhere around the world and here in the U.S. So let's get it.
Yeah, it's a lot of soccer, and for that we have the one and only, the crowd favorite, Dustyn Richardson, El Jefe, joining us today. So gracious to have you in the show, my friend. How you been?
Thank you. Yes, I always appreciate the invite, or when I can show up and my kid doesn't have 900 soccer games.
This is true. The invite is always open, but man, you stay busy, and it feels like it's been a busy start to the summer for all of us. It like that's the reason why we weren't here last week. Chris was busy. And then the makeup day, you got busy again. And then if it wasn't because I was busy yesterday, we have to push it. But I was like, we need to do it because soon enough, we have the Gold Cup here as well in Houston. And it's going to get a little hectic. But how you guys been, man, Chris? How's everything? How's the week off, man? How'd it go?
Good, man. Kids, two of the four kids are a year older now, so that happened. You know, birthday parties and freaking cakes, cupcakes, and balloons, and all that. And then the other two are coming up, so we'll do that. No, and you guys know that I do. I call games for Vote League, so I've been doing a couple of the semifinals are here, so we're doing the final this weekend, and then just kind of getting ready for my big trip. So my big Boca with my dad trip, so I'm very excited about that. I feel like a kid, honestly. Like I'm a child, like your birthday's coming up and you're like, oh my god. So we were talking about it today with my dad. Some planning, but we're still gonna be planning the rest of the details. Hotels and this and that, especially like watching all these games on TV and all the people that I have made it out from Argentina and just around the US. I'm just excited to be there. So yeah, I'm a happy kid.
Yeah, so much soccer. I mean, obviously, you mentioned that, Clubs World Cup. Funny enough, I have not seen one live game yet. So I know the schedules. What is it like? Kind of in the morning, right? Earlier?
Yeah,
games.
There's an early games, the games
like 2
like
or
11,
5.
11,
Yeah.
Yeah, they start in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like 11 a.m. to 5, and then like 8, 7 or 8.
And then right after that, you get Gold Cup matches kind of happening. So soccer never ends, and it's right here, which is kind of cool. And as mentioned, right, the Gold Cup started on Saturday. Was it Mexico? It was a Saturday or Friday. I can't remember. That kicked it off. We saw Xavier Valdez, man, having some former Houston Dynamo player having a pretty good game, I would say, even for the scoreline. So I found it funny because I was watching obviously the Spanish commentators was Osvaldo Sanchez. And I mean, if you're a Mexican and American, you know exactly who that is. Like that's one of their best goalkeepers of all time. And he was praising the hell out of Xavier Valdez. And I'm like, I mean, we know too much of Xavier Valdez. So maybe he can still grow into it, man. But no, exciting, man. How long is that road trip, and are you gonna wear diapers? Are we stopping halfway? What is that? There's not that many Buc-ee's,
I know, right?
all the way to Nashville.
So we're guys. I think we're the type of guy that we're like, we gotta pee, like we'll just make it quick and keep going type thing. But since we're going Sunday, the game is not until Tuesday, so we're giving ourselves some time to kind of get there and enjoy the festivities. Because there's gonna be what they call banderazos, like when people go and get together and like with their flags and stuff like that. So I'm actually gonna put a flag together myself too. So I need to work on that. Like I'm planning a bunch of stuff that I haven't even started on, and just So 12 hours from here, from where I'm at in Sealy, outside of Houston to Nashville. But who knows? I don't know. I'm only gonna take like one pair of underwear. I don't know if I'm gonna shower. But,
Hey, that's all you need, man. You just flip
go
it
for the game,
over,
bro.
then inside out.
Inside out.
Yeah, there's many ways to do it.
Yeah. We're gonna keep all the what's it called? All the expenses low.
Yeah. And I mean, Dustyn, we know that you were out and about for a good while, out in the boonies, but now that you're back, what have you enjoyed? Have you been keeping up with the World Cup, the Gold Cup? What have you watched?
Yeah, I watched part of that Boca game the other day. It was pretty crazy that Boca, was it Benfica they played?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. And I've watched some of the Gold Cup games, but yeah, it's crazy. Like there's literally games. It reminds me like when during COVID when all those leagues just started up again and there was games like every day, like all the time.
And you had nowhere to go, so all you had to do was watch
So
soccer.
you're just like, well, I'm guessing but now at least I have to go to work and stuff, so I don't get to watch them all. But yeah, it's been like, it's crazy like that MLS just plays through it all too. Like
That's
just
true,
like
nothing has changed.
just we need San Jose against Portland because why not?
Why not?
That's so true.
Or like on like a Thursday night.
Yeah, like,
So random.
What are we doing?
Was playing or something.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's funny the way that the MLS is just set up, and I mean there was so much talk about them shifting the schedule, and especially for the World Cup, right? But it's like why they need to do it at this point. You just go with it, rip the Band-Aid off, make it happen, guys. But yeah, there's a lot of soccer. Thursday be the first matchups here for the Gold Cup, so we'll be covering that as well. I know that we have been a little radio silence when it comes to this podcast in particular, but the guys at Orange and Blueprints have been keeping up with the news with the Dash, and last week David had to do Movimiento Naranja by himself because I also got busy. So the content is there, but we did get the opportunity to talk to Marcelo Santos last week. We got the opportunity to talk to a new Argentine striker, Tomas Romero, as well, and Nali. So there's content out there. Hopefully, if you guys have not listened to that, go ahead, look for it. After this podcast is over, look for the recording on YouTube. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit the little notification bell. So anytime that anything gets uploaded, you can catch it there. And of course, the podcast feed. And really, really appreciate it if you guys give us reviews. It just kind of drives us more than anything. So, good or bad, throw it up there. We hope that you are having a fantastic summer and just keeping up with everything. I know the Dynamo are not doing all that great, so we can definitely shift into that. We didn't get the opportunity. So the plan last week was to do a roundtable. Dustyn was out of town, so we wanted for him to be a part of it. Joey too, and it was the same old. We saw the team play Sporting Kansas City, and honestly, it was a copy paste match against Montreal that was not a great result. But Dustyn, did you get to watch the Montreal match? Maybe just start with your thoughts on that, and we'll move into what the season has looked like for the Dynamo so far.
Yeah, I think you said it. It was kind of a copy of the Sporting KC game. They just in the Sporting KC game, it was, oh, they're tired, or oh, they played 9 games in May, or whatever Ben said. We've played the most games in MLS, or whatever he was chalking it up to. But then, I mean, you had a week off, and you have Montreal at home, who's won 1 game all season, and then you go and basically do the same thing. You just come out flat and just come out like, yeah, we talked about it in our chat, and I know Joey talked about it in the ratings, but like, Femi, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And they give up those 2 goals, and it's like, that's the game. Like, it's gotten to the point where, like, I know they've done better recently, but they get down 1 or even, and especially 2 goals. You're like, are they going to be able to score and come back in this game? It's like, yeah, I don't know what their problems are. they can't blame it on being tired this game.
Yeah,
You can't
no.
blame it on 9 games in the month. And they got outplayed too. Like it wasn't like Montreal like just got a couple lucky goals and the Dynamo hit the post 10 times and should have scored. They just got outplayed by, quite frankly, a terrible
I was
Montreal
gonna say
team.
one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, you look at the table; they're right there. They were a point in front of LA Galaxy, who has obviously had a terrible run. But no, it is funny that you said, because it was, again, you look at the Sporting Kansas City, you look at this matchup, they were identical. It was Houston, being on the final third the entire time, but not really creating any dangerous plays, Dustyn and Chris. And there was a header, I think, from Ponce, same thing that we saw against Sporting Kansas City, straight to the goalkeeper. I was joking with David. I'm like, what's up with Ponce? Like, all he does is hit it directly into the goalkeeper. I mean, he hits that thing with power, but it's like directly to the guy.
And he literally did the same thing against Kansas City too.
Yeah.
I was watching both of the highlights, and he had the same exact place. It was wild.
Yeah,
he's better in the Michelob Ultra commercial, where he's playing with it. Was it Omar Bravo? Who was he playing with?
A bunch of fat dudes.
Yeah, like me. If you guys haven't seen that commercial, I saw it on it's on Instagram, and Ponce is like playing with a bunch of just middle-aged dudes.
Dudes that's been in retirement for a couple years now. No, but yeah, there's something about Ponce. I don't think Ponce is a bad player, but he has looked flat. And then the guys around them, people were like, oh, look, now there's no Jack. And I was like, Jack played against Sporting Kansas City. Like, this is not like a life with or without Jack. Like, this team, there's something about the way they started. They obviously at home, they kind of throw everything for 30 minutes. And I feel like the guys just get gassed. And it reminds me, I don't know how much of The Simpsons you guys are a fan of, but remember when Homer is like a boxer and he's just sitting, like he's just taking the punches, right? And that's what he was doing, just taking punches, which I feel like that's what like Montreal was doing. And then all he had to do once the other guy was gassed, just push him, and then he'll win a game. I feel like that's what's happening here with the Dynamo. Like they're just giving it their all, but not really creative anything, and they're really suffering. And this is, I don't want to call it the eye test, because this is but in the sense of like, when I feel like whenever you have somebody like Bossy and Kovalchik playing along, they just kind of clash. They do the same things, and I feel that right there limits them as well. And I know this has been a topic of discussion for the last 2 seasons, specifically regarding Bossy and how the creative and more like the final product with him. But do you see that, Dustyn? Do you see like them kind of just running into each other, like not necessarily generating the last pass, especially when you have those two guys on the field?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, those guys. Like you have a lot of kind of the same like type players, right? Kovalchik and Bossy are kind of very similar. And then you brought Linger in to kind of be that 10 winger thing too. And then Dwayne Holmes, the same. You brought him in to be like a winger, and Ali's back. So you have all these guys that are like really similar profiles. And like you said, you're playing 3 of them at a time, right? Like it was Bossy, Kovalchik, and Linger in the last game. And yeah, it's a lot of the same. They want to be in the same spaces. They want to, try to play the same passes. They want to be in the same areas around the box. And that doesn't help Ponce for sure. Linger had a good game, I think. I mean, he scored, but yeah, it's something Ben Olsen, Coach Kenny Bundy, Juan Guerra, the coaching staff, they have to figure out like how these guys are going to play together, what their front, what their attack's going to be like, who's their number 10 to begin with. We've seen Bossy was there last game. Linger has played there. Kovalchik has played there. We haven't seen a lot of Dwayne Holmes, but they brought him in. He's played in England. He's probably going to be a guy that they use a lot. I have no idea what they're going to do. Like Ponce is going to play as the 9 because he's a DP, and he's basically your only option. And then you got to figure out those three guys behind him.
Let me. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, my bad. Let me add something because today I was trying to do like my research in a way, right, for this game. I didn't get to watch it, so all I had was the highlights, and then all the work that you guys put in and put it up on the website BayouCitySoccer.net. And I was reading on what Ben Olsen said after the game, and it was kind of worrisome in a way. If maybe I'm
It really
reading too
was.
much into
No.
it. But I wanted to get your point of view because obviously sometimes I tend to read things and I think about it a certain way, but you guys obviously see it a different way. But when he says, and it's funny because you did mention it, Dustyn. You know, you talk about all these head coaches that they have. They have potentially four head coaches in the bench, and for him to say, quote, the good news is that we have a bunch of players that want to be on the field. So now it is my job to figure out who are the best ones to put out on the pitch. So
Yeah.
it's like, are you implying that you don't know who to play? Like, obviously he does know who to play, but are you implying like you just don't know exactly what is going on in a way?
Well, like, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the game we were at, Rudy, when
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which game it was. Maybe it was KC or whatever. But in the press conference, Ben was like, "I don't know our 11.
Yeah.
Like I need to figure that out." Like
Wow.
he keeps, and I mean, I
That's
get
crazy.
that you can say that maybe that's a good problem too, right? They have a number of good
Mm-hmm.
players, and we talked about all these creative midfielder type guys that they have. But at the same time, and he mentioned this too, like you want guys to play together. You want the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
defenders to play together so that they get used to each other. You want these attacking guys to be playing with Ponce and playing with each other. So yeah, I when I read that, I thought the same thing as you. Like
Yeah.
this is not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we look at the lineup, and I mean, our group chat is always. I mean, we question everything, right? Good or bad, but we're looking at we're like, okay, we understand the center back position has been one that's giving the most issues, right, for the most part, to the team, and one guy that kind of won their place in the starting lineup, whether necessarily by merit alone or just because he's the only body capable of being played there, was Femi. And if unfortunately for him, he had been okay for most of the stuff, but there's a lot of games that were lost because of him. And if we're taking it to the Montreal by itself, it was so evident how Ben Olsen was just fuming. I mean, he both of the goals were basically under, like, Femi. Definitely the first goal was Femi should have done something better. Second goal, he doesn't really check Prince Owosu and gets basically a free header as well. And he gets pulled at halftime. And the way that Ben, spoke at the end of the game, and luckily we weren't there again. I mean, me and Chris were there whenever they lost 3-1 to Seattle, and we already knew what Ben Olsen looks like when he's really mad. So I can just imagine what Diego and Lesnar were there for the post game. But yeah, it was just you can just tell he was just frustrated because he feels that he's playing the better lineup and giving the opportunity to the guys that been there the longest. And he kind of mentioned that as like in the sense of like some of these guys have been here, and so that they think it's established. And my big issue is I feel like they probably practiced well, right? So you had 2 weeks to kind of get ready. The guys that have been playing more look like they're playing well, probably doing very good practices, and they're not necessarily giving the opportunity to the guy that they brought in, right? You mentioned Holmes, obviously. Olusanya is another guy that came in as well, trying to get minutes. We know that Anali is getting minutes now that he is finally available, but there's other guys, maybe a Dueña, maybe a Loredo. They're kind of all pushing to get minutes, and they're just not because the other guys are quote unquote in front of them. And you just could tell that Ben is like tired of it. It's in the sense of like these guys aren't doing what they're here to do. And one guy that I feel that he's most frustrated with is a guy like Bassi. Honestly, every single time he gets asked, and not maybe he doesn't tell us, but if you're listening to the games, if you're home and listen to the games, and obviously the commentators from MLS Apple tend to talk to the coaches beforehand. And the comments that he had about Bassi was that it's like, dude, like you're a 10, like we need you to do more. Your numbers have to be increased. And it's like, it's just not there. It doesn't matter how inflated and great those stats are, but if the assists and the goals aren't happening, that's really the frustrating part that I can tell Ben is just, he needs to find a way to figure it out. And if it has to play the guys that came in that, you know, one thing to note is that Ben takes forever to find confidence in players. I don't know if you guys noticed that, since the beginning of his arrival, Dustyn.
Except
What do you mean
Femi.
by that?
Except Femi.
Oh yeah.
But
Well,
again, but
that is
because
such a
there's not a
weird-
lot of options for Femi, right?
But like
No.
my thing
Yeah.
with in we kind of talked about this in our chat too, and like I think Ben's a really good coach. I respect Ben. I've had a number of conversations and talks and questions with him. Ben knows more soccer than I'll ever know. But like Franco Escobar is arguably their best defender, and he just like doesn't play. I mean, he brought him in at halftime because Femi was so bad, right? But like, why are you not? Why? I mean,
Yeah.
if Felipe Andrade is the new left back, and we could have arguments about that. He's had some good. He scored a couple goals, but he's also had some. I mean, he's young. He's gonna have his learning curve too. But why isn't Franco playing center back? Like, I feel like
Naturally, right? You
Yeah,
would see
put him
him
on the
taking over
field.
Femi, play
Yeah.
him over Femi. Yeah.
he's probably your best defender. Like he needs to be on the field. He needs to
Yeah.
play most of the
Anything.
minutes. He's not going to play over Dorsey, which is fine because Dorsey's Dorsey. But those three other spots, he should be like first in line for them, especially with Eric out.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's just
100%.
crazy, and like I said, there's a lot to decipher there. But yeah, Chris.
No, and like I said, maybe I'm reading too much into this, right? But I think there has to be something going on in the background when it comes to like locker room issues in a way. We don't know. We obviously have no idea what happens in there and what kind of cliques or groups or whatever it may be. But they always talk about unity and friendships and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously the competition creates chaos in a way, right? It creates these like, oh, like you come in, you take my spot. Like we've seen Escobar wear the armband of the captain. Like, so the guy went from being your secondary captain, at some points us questioning if he should be the main captain of this team, to a guy maybe not even starting for a kid that got just brought up from the second team. And he did earn it, like we said, Andrade, you could make an argument that he earned it, and you can make an argument that he hasn't. And then on the other side, like we said, we have Femi, with all due respect to him and his career, he's just not there, in my opinion. And I've said it from like week 1 or 2. And it's crazy to think that you have players that could, are capable of playing that position, and maybe will put a little bit of heart and whatever, huevos into this game, but we're playing Femi because he's athletic. Like, it just, I don't know, it just makes no sense sometimes.
And it's funny too, because it goes to like, I think Joey was the one that mentioned it last year, or I mean last recording, or you, Chris, that at the end of the day, that's it for like players like Ethan Barlow or Daniel Steres. Like,
and that's such a weird story.
They're done. Yeah, it's crazy. And so
I loved Barlow, man.
Yeah.
I think it too, like I mean, we knew this, we as people that have watched the Dynamo a lot, but like it goes to show you like how good Mikael was, and like how like just solid he was. Like you didn't have to worry about him. Mikael was on the field, and you were good. I mean, and Eric too, for that matter. And he's been hurt for most of the year, but having Mikael,
you went with those guys playing like 50 games together, and then you lose both of them basically at once. That's a big hit. That's a really big hit for sure. And then the guys that are not doing what they need to do now, the guys that had been solid like Arthur, he's just not there anymore. He's just taking like a massive drop as well. So it's just everybody on that team is just not playing up to par. And as much as their collective tends to work sometimes, seeing this last 2 games against Sporting Kansas City, okay, it's your 9th game in a month. Okay, we say you're tired. But like you mentioned, Dustyn, you come in with like, 2 weeks off, and it happens exactly the same. Now you do have issues, and there should be questions internally for sure.
And I was looking at some stats before we did this, and the Dynamo have played the second most players in the league in MLS
Wow.
this year. You know how many players have played for the Dynamo this season?
I'm gonna say 22.
28.
Oof.
Now you
Dang.
got
That's a
to
lot.
remember they've played 4 goalkeepers, so
Yeah, that's true.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
But like they just haven't, like we talked about, they just haven't had like that continuity that like
Yeah.
I mean, how many different defensive pairings have we seen? Andrade, Escobar, Eric, Ortiz, Bartlow, Steres. You know, it's
Anybody that can play defense has played.
anybody, and I mean they went through that stretch where they like tried to start Lodero, and they, you know,
Yeah.
Duenas got a couple. It's
Mm.
so
Yep.
it's like we said, I don't think they know who their best 11
R.I.P.
players
Ibrahim
are.
Aliyu.
Yeah, Ali. Yeah, Ali
Yeah.
had his few minutes.
And we bring it back to this whole like there is five there's five head coaches now with Wolf, right? There's five head coaches in the bench, and it's like, what are we just like accumulating head coaches for I mean,
Yeah.
it's not his
Yeah.
question, because if you're, I mean, I don't know how Pat Onstad feels about this, because if I'm him, you know, I maybe, I don't know if questioning, you know, because you guys obviously
You
gave me
wait.
shit in week 10
You talk about
questioning Ben Olsen, but
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say you talk about Pat, but like it's also funny that like the times that they get destroyed at home, you know, those 3-1 losses, they've collected three this season so far: Seattle, Sporting Kansas City, and Montreal. And I obviously I wasn't there this weekend, but Pat Onstad, on a video that I saw, he's right there, right next to that wall,
that
man.
is weird.
So
That is weird.
there's, you know, there's pressure, and it
I mean,
can go
yeah.
both ways, because we talked about the fact that, you know, Pat Onstad hasn't been as quick to get players when needed for the team. But yeah, Chris, sorry, didn't.
And also getting into the dynamics of play, or like bringing in players, right? Because you guys mentioned, right, I forgot the name of the T guy. I'm
Lasagna.
Yossi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he came in. He
Toy
played a
Story.
few minutes, and he hasn't played a lot. Then you have Duenas, right? So all these signings, right? That you're thinking, you know, what is the involvement of Ben Olsen in a way of kind of giving a yes or a no for players, right? Obviously, we don't know the dynamics of how they pick players, and you know what the conversation is between Pat Onstad, Asher, and Ben Olsen. I'm sure obviously there has to be kind of an agreement for them to decide and give a yes for the players, and then obviously the player has to come in and get into the group and actually play and you know become something. But it just kind of makes you wonder, like, all these players are coming in, but none of them are really like being,
Yeah,
obviously, like we said, performance. It's a thing of itself, right? They have to perform, but you're like, none of these guys are cutting it. So it's like,
it's crazy too, because like they're like, oh, we need a striker, and they sign Lasagna, and then Gabe Siegel comes out and is like Lewandowski all of a sudden, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, we need fullbacks, and they just like, oh, let's try Andrade, and he's all of a sudden good, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we need midfielders, and now they have like 6 midfielders
Yeah.
that all play the same position. So it's like,
that's true.
they're yeah,
And
yeah.
Brooklyn landed the starter basically. So
Brooklyn, yeah, Brooklyn's basically Brooklyn and Junior Urso, like you're rolling with those guys as key pieces, and it's yeah. I mean, and we can talk. I guess we can transition to like the full season,
yeah.
right, or the halfway season where they're at now. But like coming into this season, I think a lot of us were like, you know, they're fourth, fifth again. There we go. If you're watching, where they
Yeah,
make the
we
playoffs.
have our prediction, and we can laugh. At this point, we don't have to
Literally.
leave it for the end of the season to like get made fun of. So we'll see where we are, or when it comes to prediction, where the team is currently, and obviously we maybe believe it's still going to be the same or not at this point.
I just want to put it out there that I believed.
You believe.
Ben
You
Olsen.
believe.
Christian has him fourth.
Yeah.
But and it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Like all of a sudden, Mikael went like right at the beginning of the season. Coco went like what 2 or 3 weeks before the season started.
And I
So
think there's predictions we did before those two guys left. To
definitely
be honest.
Mikael, I
Yeah.
think. So like, and like we said, we as guys, people that are around the team a lot, Dynamo fans know how good Mikael was, and how, and you know, he was a best 11 caliber kind of guy. You lose that, and
you get Femi.
yeah, we didn't know at the time, like, yeah, what the drop off would be, the difference would be there from one to the other. But and it got talked about a lot, especially nationally, right before the season. Like Hector's gone, Coco's gone. Like those are big.
Steve Clark. I mean, honestly, Steve
and
Clark.
Those are not only like players, but like you talked about with Christian with the locker room stuff. Like those are guys that like been there, done that. Like people looked up to Hector especially, but Coco, like, you know, and Steve Clark's a guy that's been around and done all those things. Those guys are like leaders and the kind of guys that other players will just rally around. And we talked about it before. Like Archer he just doesn't strike me as like that, like captain, like, you know, like the old school. I know Christian, you love the old school guys, like just those old school captains that would just like go out there and just
the armband meant something, right? Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and we know we've always spoke about how good Arthur is, and he is good, and the leadership is there when it comes to the action part of it. But when you need somebody to be the devil's advocate, you know, when things are not going all that great, and kind of take the realm of the team and step up and talk. I mean, we hardly honestly hear from Arthur, if we're being honest.
You don't have to spit at the ref, but
yeah, it's like I would say, like we didn't necessarily hear a lot of Hector Herrera as well. If you guys remember, I mean, it was kind of in the beginning, and then because he only kept getting asked about Mexico, they just like, you know what, we're gonna put somebody else. I think he just kind of fed up. But usually your captain was the one to talk, and Sviatchenko has been that. You know, when he's been playing, I think he's the guy that steps up. Obviously, we know he's the leader of men, and he's been out. And this team is just not well organized, especially when it comes to that with the leadership. Like, you don't know who is who. And the passionate guys like a Franco Escobar, as you had mentioned, kind of getting relegated doesn't help as well. Yeah. And I do understand that it took me a while to see, like, I see it as like what position they play. But in the depth chart, I've noticed that Ben Olsen is very stick to the depth chart, right? If you already moved Daniel Steres to play left back, he's your left back, right? He's that second guy there. He's not going to shift it. And I feel that that's probably what he feels with Escobar. But dude, there's times that you just have to scratch what's not working and just, you know, kind of roll with the punches. Now, if you do lose, you only have a starter, right? On, like, you have Dustyn, you don't have a backup. Oh well, you adjust. But to an extent, you always have to play your best players. And yeah, so going to the graphic, there it goes. I have them finishing in 5th of the conference. Joey 5th, Manny 7th, Dustyn, you have them at 7, Christian 4th, and David 6th. Currently, they are in 10th place. I should have brought that up.
10th or 11th, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean,
a lot of year left.
It's doable, yeah. I probably see them falling like in 6th, 7th place at the end of it.
That's the crazy part. Like, they're only 6 points away from like the 5th place team. Yeah, you're like 5th, 6th, and 7th place they have 26 points. They only have 6 points. They're only 2 games away from the Dynamo. So it's
that's part of it too.
You can't, right? Like,
that's part of it too. Like, no one thought San Diego would be as good as they are, right? They're up there. Vancouver is like one of the best teams in the league all of a sudden. Yeah. So you like the Western Conference it's
flipped.
It's definitely way better than I think a lot of people thought it was.
I mean, you have Galaxy dead last. Like, that's flipped. You know, like that's flipped.
That's crazy.
Now goal scorers, we pretty much we do all have Ezequiel Ponce. Ezequiel Ponce is leading the charge with 4 goals in the MLS. I was hoping he would score 20. I don't know if we're gonna get there. To be honest, Chris, they said that your mic's a little low, so I don't know if. But yeah, so I mean, I think at this rate, Ezequiel is only, I believe, 1 goal ahead of everybody else. So I think we're all still believe that it's going to be him. I think Linger is right behind him, I believe, right?
I think it's got to be Ponce, or else things are really bad.
Yeah, you need your DP to score, and
he needs more than 4 goals too, though. Like, right? Like, he's at 4 goals through half.
Ali,
the season.
You got 6 last year and won it, so that's not great, but I mean, we would be correct.
Yeah. I mean, if a halfway point, right? I don't know how you guys hear me, but a halfway point, he only has 4. And like if we apply the mathematical thing, like he would finish the season without a double digit season
Yep.
for a DP striker. That's crazy.
Yep. The next thing on here was most assists. Jack McGlynn, Bossy for Manny, for Dustyn, for Joey, Griffin Dorsey for Chris, David, Jack McGlynn. Christian, you're Dorsey's first right now. So
Dorsey's got 4, yeah.
Yeah. So right now is looking like, I mean, we never know. We never know. There's still like a lot of season left. However, Jack is probably going to miss the last 3-4 games or the next 3-4 games. So
Jack might miss the second half of the season because he's in Europe.
That's crazy.
That is true, and I'm okay with that. If you get a good money for it.
If someone comes and throws $8-10 million at you like this summer, it's going to be hard to say no to that. You just you got to close your eyes and say bye, Jack. Thanks for your 3 months of service. I mean, if he keeps playing like it was Trinidad, right? It's like not the greatest of teams, but he did score that goal against Switzerland too. But if he keeps playing and starting for the national team and playing well in this Gold Cup, those European teams are going to come calling.
He'll in some German
Christian Pulisic, who?
Right?
Get that replacement.
Let him go rest. Let him go rest.
Let him go rest. Let me see. Oops, here it goes. Who would be the Dynamo team's MVP? Hopefully you guys enjoy that picture I picked of Femi. He looks fantastic. But I had Arthur as my pick, Joey Bossy, Manny Arthur, Dustyn Ponce, also believe 20 goals probably for Ponce.
David said Ladero.
Yeah, that one was that was a reach. And Jack McGlynn for Christian. I don't know. Yeah, if Jack continues what he's been doing and he's still with the Dynamo to finish the season and helps them make it into playoffs, then I could see him being the guy.
He really is he probably is their literally most valuable player right now as far as cash value. As far
they have Liverpool fans talking about Jack McGlynn the last couple of weeks, man. Yeah. I mean, hey, I was surprised. Rodrigo sent me that. He's like, dude, this is going. He just thought it was crazy because obviously, big Liverpool fan. Like all his Twitter feed is Liverpool, and he was like, this just came across. What the hell's happening? Because he hasn't really kept up with the team lately. And
it's crazy it's crazy to think too, like Jack turns 22 next month. Like he's so young still. Like this is like, I know a lot of the crazy US soccer fans on Twitter that think MLS is the worst thing that's ever happened. Like we're super mad that
McGlynn, and there was that article you shared how he didn't know. If you want to talk a little bit about that, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I think it was it The Athletic or somebody. We retweeted it. You can go check it out on our Twitter. But yeah, basically Philly was like, we're not selling you to Europe. You're going to another MLS team, and that's all McGlynn knew. And he was like with his girlfriend or something. Was like, oh, I guess we're moving. So, yeah,
we don't even know where.
We don't know where we're going. Oh, hey, you're going to Houston. Have fun with that. Yeah. But yeah, like, and I keep going back and forth with like in my head about this. Like, you have to sell McGlynn if he. Especially if he keeps playing well in the Gold Cup, he's never going to be. He's about to be 22. He's never going to be more valuable than he is right now.
Yeah, you can't sit on him. You can't do a Albert Ellis. You can't do a Manotas. That the guys are depreciate in value.
Yeah, let these guys stick around for 3 years, and all of a sudden, like they sold Coco for like $2 million or something. Yeah. Which I mean, okay, but yeah, you have this asset in McGlynn now that could get you a lot, and that goes back, and then that leads to something else that we haven't even talked about yet. Like, if McGlynn goes, even if McGlynn doesn't go, they might have 2 DPs. They could have up to 2 DP spots this summer. Yes. And I mean, if Ted wants to break that checkbook open, we've seen him do it before, right? Like he's done it with Hector. I mean, he's spent money on Linger and Ponce and these guys. I mean, they
Nolly,
they could go big. I mean, they could. Aliu's gone, so they have an extra U22 spot. If McGlynn leaves, that would be another one.
Yeah, you tell somebody who's like, hey, there's going to be 7 World Cup games next year in Houston. You want to be kind of part of it? You're breaking into your team, dude. I mean, you can make some damage if you're Houston and you do it right. If that happens, 2 things.
Jack going to Europe, I think it would be perfect because he's like at the perfect time where he could go play 1 or 2 years and like really evolve into
Yeah.
like the European
And
player.
actually be an impact player for
Yeah.
whichever team he goes into.
And I mean, even if he's not from like the beginning, just playing 1 or 2 years, and you're 25 and you're at your peak in Europe, like that could be huge. I mean, like Christian Pulisic in a way, right? Like he didn't just become Christian Pulisic. Like he had to kind of work his way up to what he is now. So that's perfect because he's like the perfect age. And then my second point, I just forgot, but I remembered. But it would be great to see if they do go for like a DP. It would be great to go for a MLS proven DP. I don't know if that makes sense. Like somebody like Lucho Acosta, or like kind of like that type of player, in the sense of that they know the league. I feel like it's harder when you bring like a DP, like for example Ponce. Like we know they're good just because of their careers in a way, but since they don't know the league, it's kind of hard for them to like get used to it in a way. But I feel like if you have an MLS coach like Ben Olsen, an MLS player like Jack, or somebody like that in that realm, it would be so much easier, and that could probably power up the Dynamo even a lot more than what it is.
I mean, we can't forget the Gold Cup is here. I think a lot of the times that Dynamo players have come to Houston has been, they get to watch with the at Shell Energy Stadium or NRG. So, what sounds good? A Canadian. Bring in a Canadian talented player.
Yeah.
Jonathan David needs a new team.
Yeah.
Hey,
he's out of contract.
That'd be a fantastic.
Hey, I will throw out one name. I don't know if he'll ever come here, but go get Gio Reyna.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
To the States.
Why not? Drama and all, bring them here at this point. Huh?
Bring it all. Bring
I
his
think
mom, his dad,
Ben
his
Olsen
crazy family.
They played together. You're right. Ben and his
Claudio?
dad. I think they did. I think they played in the World Cup.
Yeah, they had to have been about that same age.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is not a DP guy, but somebody that I really like randomly is Wolf's kid from Austin, right? Is that his kid?
He has so many. He has one in Atlanta.
Yeah.
He has one in Austin.
No, the Austin guy.
He has one here.
Yeah.
The Atlanta one is good too.
Gavin is the one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of the Austin one, but yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Actually, give me one of the Sullivan brothers. Bring them. Bring
Owen Wolf.
Yeah. What is the oldest Sullivan brother? The one
Quinn.
that just broke into Quinn. He just broke into the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Bring
need somebody
him.
like that.
That guy's legit. Yeah.
Look, if Philly wants to just keep giving the Dynamo all their good players,
Send them
like
this way.
McGlenn, they already sent McGlenn.
The Philadelphia Academy for
Yeah.
Houston Dynamo. Just kind of branch it there for real.
3.
Here is our bold predictions. Sebastian Kovacic. I said Sebastian Kovacic scores more goals than Bassi. Currently, Bassi has 2 goals. Kovacic has 1. So I'm not feeling too confident. Yeah.
I think he had more.
This is for the league, I guess.
He scored in the Open Cup, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The midfield does not miss Hector Herrera or Coca Carrasquilla. It was looking okay, but now I feel like it's going away. The Dynamo will be more attacking and will be weaker defensively.
They're definitely weaker defensively.
They're not great attacking.
They're not great attacking, though.
Dustyn said the Dynamo signed a new starting goalkeeper in the summer.
Look,
Close.
I said Tarbell wasn't going to make it, and they were
Yeah.
going to get a new keeper. They just happened to sign him like in March. Jonathan Bond is.
Yeah.
Bond
It's
is great.
it's the summer in
Bond is
Argentina, so it counts. The fall.
Yeah, right.
Bond has. I don't know if they lucked into it or whatever, but getting Bond, a guy like you talked about before, like a guy that knows MLS and has been in MLS and it's like a veteran that he's been fantastic.
Christian said that the Dynamo win Leagues Cup, so and we don't know. That one's still up in the air. So I like that one. And David said the Dynamo player's name to the MLS best 11. At this rate, Jack McGlynn. Maybe?
It could be McGlenn. It'll be hard though, just because the position he plays.
Yeah.
There's so many good wings attacking mids in MLS. Like Miami's up front 3 will probably make it.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. This one is who wins the Porter Shield? I said Sounders, Atlanta United for Joey, Manny and Dustyn Miami, Christian and David also said Miami, and Christian you said San Jose Earthquakes. Currently Philadelphia is in first place for the Shield. Who wins MLS Cup? I put Seattle, Joey, Cincinnati, Money, Chicago Fire, which actually Fire haven't looked that bad as of late. Christian, you did too. Dustyn, Cincinnati, and then David, LAFC. Landon Donovan, MLS award. I put Gabriel Peck. That one's looking really, really good. Not really. Joey put Lionel Messi because they gift Messi all those great trophies.
Messi will just win it. Yeah.
Boanga for money. Dustin Evander, who's kind of struggling. Cincinnati's been like hit or miss. Christian, you put Miguel Almiron, who is he even really doing much there? He's kind of lost. They spent a lot of money on that striker, and that guy also has been on the bench, so it's kind of great. I think they spent $20 million for the guy.
Yeah, Latte Loth.
Yeah, and David put Lionel Messi. Who wins MLS Golden Boot in 2025? Sturridge is actually in second place. The guy in this picture, what's his name again?
Ty Evo.
Yeah, he's in first place currently for the MLS boot, but I put Ponce because, again, I believe that he was going to go 20 goals. Peter Musa for Joey, Luis Suarez for Manny and Dustin, Emmanuel Latelat, which is the guy I just said he got bench already, Christian, and David put Lionel Messi. I mean, dude, you pay $20 million for a guy, you're like,
you expect him to win a Golden Boot or something, yeah.
Yeah,
you kind of put up a fight.
And then I believe this is the last slide of what is the MLS bold prediction 2025. I put LAFC misses the playoffs. Joey put that Vancouver wins a wooden spoon. So, dude,
Joey's not looking good on that one.
Yeah, Manny put Chicago and San Jose will be MLS contender. I mean that one's reasonable. Yeah. Dustin, you put MLS and also switching the Euro calendar after this season. You were heavy on that because we kept hearing rumors that it could happen, and eventually got voted no by the owner. So we'll see what next season leads. Christian, you put San Jose wins the West and Chicago wins the East. There's still a chance, and David put San Diego makes the playoffs. So David was high on that one. That's all the ones for the predictions that we did. But yeah, let's there's still a lot of season. There's 2 more games this month for Houston, Minnesota midweek.
Their schedule's hard coming up.
Yeah, and then St. Louis at home, and I didn't even look at what July looks like. But
they got Minnesota in St. Louis, like you said. Then they're at San Diego, at Salt Lake, and then home for Vancouver and Philly, 2 of the best teams in the league. So
yeah, and then you get against Galaxy, and then the Leagues Cup begins. So Tigres.
Play Tigres and
it's not really at 3:00, is it? And then you get Mazatlan. That's probably the only team you're beating in like next 2 months at this rate, bro. And even then,
because you're playing at home.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing at home, so I mean, honestly, you look at the schedule and it doesn't get any easier at all for the team. So it's definitely going to be interesting because, looking at it as a whole, it was said from the very beginning that this team, referring to the Houston Dynamo, and when Ben Olsen arrived, it was going to be built for year number 3 to be the year, right? The year was supposed to be and it's looking completely opposite. It's looking like, Joey picking Vancouver to win the wooden spoon. Like this thing just went sour. It's completely backwards, upside down. And yes, it's halfway there. It's not over yet by any means. And all you need to, to win MLS Cup, you just need to make the playoffs. So they're right there. But how are you feeling, Dustin? Like maybe if you want to say this season or just right now with Ben Olsen as a whole, right? I mean, he's been a good coach, but I mean, is it his fault necessarily? People are saying he's losing the team. I'm just throwing things out there, seeing on the Dynamo verse of some sort. What are you thinking, man? How are you feeling with this?
I mean, I think I think the expectations were high this year, probably a little too high, just because of what they lost and what they didn't replace it with to start the season. As far as Ben, like, I mean, I don't, I agree with that comment. Like, it's not Ben's fault. Like, I don't know what any, like, this is extreme, but you put Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola as the coach of this team, and is it really that much different? Probably not. Like they were late to get the players that they needed, right? They were having to kind of just patch together lineups at the beginning of the year. They lost all their goalies. And we talked about it. They still really don't have a 11 that is like nailed down, right? Like if I asked you guys what's the Dynamo lineup tomorrow,
Yeah.
we'd probably all have 3 different lineups.
I had that like I got invited to a Montreal podcast, and the guy's like, "Hey, what's your starting 11?" And I was like, "Dude, it literally took me 10 minutes, and what I gave you was probably not even close was gonna happen." And while I was a little bit close, yeah, it was never gonna be 100%. And for a long time, we knew what that starting 11 was, Dustyn. The year 1 and year 2, like it was done deal. You already knew it was gonna play.
Yeah, you like last year you knew it was Escobar, Mikhail, Sviatchenko, Dorsey, Artur, Herrera, Karaskia, like right, you knew like these guys. Now you just don't have that, and like I know it's hard for fans to hear this word, but like you just got to be patient. I think it's the losses that they've had have been unacceptable, right? At home, especially like losing to Kansas City, who fired their coach, losing to Montreal, who fired their coach. Not good.
On the bench.
Yeah, not good at all. But if at the end of the season we're looking back at them being in 10th or 11th and not really doing anything over the summer and not getting better, I think you can start to have those conversations about even Pat all the way up, right? Like what if they don't go get a DP this summer or even 2 DPs, and even down to Ben. But I think we gotta see how this season plays out. And Ben has talked about it. Like we need to get our core group and get them playing. And we saw stretches of that, right? Like in May when they beat New York City and they had a couple of those good games. That San Jose game that was crazy. I mean, they've shown signs, but they got to put it all together.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, it's easy to give Ben Olsen out as a cop out for sure. And obviously a lot of fans are gonna go that way just because usually that's the way the world tends to, push coaches out, right? And places like the MLS, they're a little nicer to coaches in the sense of like, you can have a long spell as long as you're average. That's the honest truth. And then if you have one bad season, then they usually X you. I mean, we saw that with Philadelphia, with Jim Curtin. We saw that with Sporting Kansas City and Peter Burmese. So, I mean, these guys had been there for so long. They were kind of building something, and out of nowhere, it just one bad season, 1.5 bad seasons. You didn't make the playoffs, and you're out. And, I think this is also something that we need to find out. Or you'll find out how long the leash is in Houston nowadays, right? Because for a while, it seemed like they were changing coaches as well every 2 seasons, for after Dominic Kinnear left. So Ben is under contract all the way to the end of the 2026 season. So whether he gets an extension or not, whether, you win a title or not, you get an MLS a US Open Cup. And it's a good trophy to have because it builds into international tournaments. But is it enough, right? And we all know that Ben Olsen did a very good job in DC, making pretty much 70% of the playoffs, during his time there. And that's important, but is it enough to go to the next step? And that's one question that was always talked about when he was brought in. I was always like, when they announced Ben Olsen, I was mad because not that he was a bad coach. I just felt like the team needed something different. It needed a different personality, but it was going to be a struggle then too, because they would have brought somebody that had never dealt with MLS. He probably was going to struggle, right? There've been some great guys that have come in outside of MLS and they just are terrible coaches for the league. Yep. And there's guys that has been here forever and they tend to work it out. And Ben knows the system. Ben, like, he knows the league. He knows what to expect. He knows the way that it's set up. But he's a fan of the league. He's a fan of the teams, and it's a different mentality. But as much as we like him, and as much like I'm with you, just getting to ask him questions and the insight he brings is there. But like his team currently, man, just the final pass, the final connection is just not there. And now do you go? Is it Benny Ball? Is it too defensive? Which is not. But those questions are arising from the teams. I mean, the fans of the team, just because they're not seeing results. And it does. The thing that worries me the most, and I don't know about you, Chris, is the fact that you keep losing at home. That's a big deal. Is he taking some wins away? Of course. I mean, those are nice, but you can't be losing at home. Yeah, I don't know your thoughts on any of that.
Yeah,
guys.
the whole losing at home is just for the simple fact that I guess at the end of the day, like at the base level of everything, like you're putting on a show, right? And if you want people to show up to your show, then you got to give them a show. If you're gonna lose, at least do it with like some excitement and be like, oh, this team almost came back, or whatever it may be. But when you have consistently, like, you're losing, I forgot where I saw it, but I saw a video of somebody that recorded a fan yelling at the players, and he was like, bro, like, I spent all my money, my time to come see you, not even try, like, show some character, at least in those lines. That's what they meant, said. But it's true though, like, if and I was thinking about, like, I actually have a bunch of things that I wrote down that, like, ranty wise, like, if I had an hour I could go in just about like coaching decisions, about the roster bill, and all these things that we try to be graceful with Ben Olsen, because we know that there was some things going on, losing players not coming in, injuries, and all these things, right? You try to be graceful, and then also you look at the team on the table, and they're not that far off. They could still make the playoffs and stuff like that. So nothing has been lost, like in the big picture, right? And just in the little picture, you obviously see the losses kind of piling up, and you're like, man, like we have to win and stuff like that. But obviously in the big picture, you're only 2 games away from a yeah, but we don't have 2 hours. I honestly could go forever. But yeah, one thing is yeah, like, if I were to talk directly to the players, it'd be like, well, you guys are shedding on the people in a way, right? Not I don't know if that's good or bad, or like directly, but it's like, bro, put some character. Like the fact that Ben Olsen, every time that they lose, one of the things that he mentions is like the character of the players. And we need people with character, with being bold and this and that, like freaking blood flowing through their veins. Like he says that every time they lose. So it's like where is that character? Like, are they losing because they're not men enough? Like, quote, not men, but you know what I mean. So it's one of those things, like. But then that also leads into like, okay, who's building his goddamn roster? Who's putting this team together? Like we said, every time they lose and he gets pissed off at everybody in the world, we see Pat Onstad in the room. And I don't know, is he there to control what he's going to say so he doesn't get out of line? Is he there for moral support? True. Because I've seen Ben take jabs at Pat in the room. Yeah. Right. Like slightly. You kind of
like, we're waiting for players, and he's looking straight at Pat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, he does do it like a take, and then comes back to the room. But like, you kind of have to read those things, right? If you're not paying attention, you don't read them. But then also, like, going back to the whole, you have 5 starting head coaches, or not starting head coach, but you have 5, great minds, according to Ben Olsen. Josh Wolf, our biggest signing of the year. And it's like, yeah, but you can't fucking put a starting 11 together with all these great minds. Like, is it me, or, like, so these questions, right? They could have answers. I'm just kind of throwing them out there. Another thing is, like, we talked about the whole Jack McGlynn playing as an 8, playing as a 10, or whatever, right? At the end, they figured it out. He's better, starting a little bit forward than back. But the fact that it took him a little while to kind of, at least I say a while, is because I saw it first, and then they did it in a way. I'm not saying that I'm smart or whatever, but the fact that I saw it and I'm stupid.
I mean,
Like,
when you mentioned the coaches, the only thing I can think of is Brandon Berg was probably a fucking genius. Like if
I don't
he
know who that is.
left. He was like the guy that was in charge of like what Kenny Bundy's doing now.
Okay,
Whether
okay,
it be
gotcha,
set pieces, corners, and they had scored a lot
Yeah,
with him. And he left to Hartford, I think, USL,
Yeah.
I was
and it just completely changed. So
I
whenever you
was
say that, I was
listening
like,
to
bro,
Antonio Mohamed. He's a coach in
Toluca
Toluca. He
coach.
just won
Yeah.
Toluca, and it was an interview
Shout
that
out
he did with
Ache.
ESPN, and they were asking him, so how many what's your coaching staff looking like? He's like, oh, I got 5 people with me. I got the 2 guys that kind of get to do the warm ups and all the drills and stuff like that, and then I have the other guys that do all the other stuff. And he's like, what about like your coach, like coaching and set plays? You have a set play coach? He's like, set play coach? It's like, that's what I'm for. I'm the fucking coach. Like, what do you mean a set play coach? Like, that's the game. Like,
That's it. That's it. I think that's a very American thing nowadays.
Yeah,
It's
that's obviously an old
your
school mentality.
special packages. You got your off.
It's
Yeah,
very
line guy.
English.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
like
that's true.
Arsenal's set piece coach was like all the rave this year. Like,
the
and Liverpool had a
Villa.
throw-in coach,
That's
like
so
under
crazy.
Jurgen Klopp. Like, yeah, it's getting to the point where there's like
soccer's
12
evolving,
guys
right?
on a coaching staff.
Yeah, and we always talk about it. Like, soccer evolves, and there's new different things and rules, and obviously more analytics and stuff like that.
But it is funny though, because like I think Chris, you have even asked like Ben Olsen, which obviously we know that there's other coaches, but I think you asked him one time about like Billing or Gillingham, like how he was developing, and he straight up said like, I don't know, he has a coach for that. Like, it's like, dude, everybody gets coached separately. They just give them to me for the game day, and we put them together.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like, nowadays they have position coaches, and I'm not against position coaches, but it's like, it's not football, like it's not that they're like, because they play as a, like, soccer is a whole unit in a way, in a sense, right? Like, they always talk about how like forwards are the first defenders and stuff like that. So like, if you have like, oh no, we have center back coaches and midfielder coaches, and then, oh no, we have coaches for the forwards. It's like, I understand it, from the logical point, but I always compare it to me and my life and all the things that I grew up watching and seeing. But it's like, I've always had one coach for everything, and the guy had to like go shoot around with the keepers and do this. Obviously, the budgets are different, but to me, it's just strange that they keep piling up like assistant coaches on the bench, and the team can't put a damn starting, like, just this is gonna sound rude and mean, but just the fact that Femi plays. To me as a person, I'm like nobody's telling this man that this kid shouldn't play, like, and everybody's agreeing with it. I mean, there's maybe the guys do tell him no, and Ben decides to put Femi in, which is cool, right? I commend the fact.
And I think it goes back to again, like the practices, right? There's people that practice really, really well, and then you show up to the game and you just forget everything you did. You're freaking Dory from Nemo. You just forget everything.
I'm usually like the one that's arguing for like the new school and stuff. I won't make this too long, so the podcast isn't too long. But like, you really nowadays, it's like you need a right-sided center back that does this, right? And you need back in the day when we used to watch soccer, like that dude's a center back. I don't know what side he's on or who he marks or what he like the passes he plays. Dude, just play center back.
Yeah, for real. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, now you want like your left center back has to be a lefty. Like,
and they have to be able to. One of them has to be able to hit long passes, or one of them has short passes. One of them goes 100%. Up into the midfield. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the evolution of the game, right? And which
so
I love
specialized
because it's like those little details that you only understand obviously if you play. Like, why would you want a left center back to be a left footer? Well, because when he kicks the ball like the direction of the ball is going to go to like the outside end in a way, and not from the in out.
And I think a lot of this stuff is just data driven, right? I mean, it's just very data driven. It's just like how much exactly they produce and stuff. But yeah, no, this has been a very good episode. We don't have any games this weekend for the Dynamo. We'll be back next week. Chris would not be here with us. He'd be in Nashville watching Boca lose probably their last match.
Who are they playing?
Okay.
We're playing Farmers.
They're playing the New Zealand team that
Oh,
got
the team that
destroyed.
lost 10-0.
If we lose if we lose to guys that have the same jobs,
Don't
I
even
have,
show up, man. Just stay over there. Don't
Yeah,
come
their
back.
goalie's a
Bruh.
warehouse worker or whatever it was. Yeah.
He has pictures driving a forklift.
Yeah. So if you lose,
Bro, if
Yeah.
Boca loses to a guy that is certified to drive forklift, I'll be so mad.
He's gonna be walking home from Tennessee.
I'm switching teams, bro. Like that's the last straw.
yeah, that's it. But we plan again. There is a game on Thursday. Haiti, Trinidad Tobago. I plan to be there, cover the game, so we'll have something on that. Edgar says Christian on Broadway seems like a dangerous mix. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Especially if Boca loses.
If we never see Christian again, it could be we'll know why.
I go with my dad so he can take care of me.
There you go.
Man.
Yeah, he's got his dad to help.
You're gonna end up taking care of your dad. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
At this point, I don't know who's taking care of who.
Oh man. But so the plan again, Thursday there's a game. Saturday there's a doubleheader. We'll try to be there as well. And then for next week, the podcast plan to do it live from our friends. We got soccer, so we're planning to be out there. At least right now, just me and you, Dustyn. Since Chris is going to be out, we'll see if Manny and somebody else can go.
You said Thursday,
Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, no, never
Monday
mind.
or Tuesday.
I'll be out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, so Monday or Tuesday, we'll see kind of what that's looking like. We're hoping to make it a special episode out there, and we'll find a way. Well, obviously, we'll stream it through here, and then if guys that are listening, guys that tend to go to the games or stick into the Bayou banter. Yes, I remember it this time.
The chat.
Feel free to join us there. We'll definitely give you more of what the time looks like. Probably somewhere around 6 and 8 p.m. somewhere around there, probably.
Yeah, come hang
after
out
traffic. Probably come out there. And then there is also games on Tuesday. So if we do it on Monday, I'll probably go to the games on Tuesday if everything goes well. If we record on Tuesday, then just come hang out with us on Tuesday, and we'll see if we can put the games for you guys on TVs there. But and then Chris, you're gonna be in Encanchados this week. Yeah. So we'll be in Encanchados as well. So if you want to listen to us ranting in Spanish, more in early morning tomorrow and what is it, Wednesday and Thursday, one of us will be there. So we're everywhere, man. This is where Houston soccer lives, right, Chris?
Exactly. Yes, and also a free plug for myself. I'm gonna be calling the Vote League final. So if you guys want to hear me yell out some stuff, and it's good soccer, honestly. The teams that made it to the final is a repeat from last year, so it's gonna be fun times. So if you guys want to watch that,
and
YouTube channel as well.
and just to finish up, Carlos said that I don't know if you guys are following, but Monterrey just died Inter Miami. Inter Milan. Inter they were winning, right? At one point they were 1-0.
Yeah,
Monterrey. Yeah, Ramos scored. Sergio Ramos scored.
Scored
for Monterrey. They took the lead, and then I think Lautaro scored
for Inter. 1-1.
Yep, 1-1.
And then right now, Canada is beating Honduras 2-0 at halftime. Curaçao and El Salvador tie 0-0. Man, my Salvadorian friends are gonna be not happy. Hey, shout out to Hooties. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I guess at this point, man, thank you for joining us, Chris. You want to tell people how they can connect with us, man?
Yeah, the website is BayouCitySoccer.net. Guys, you can go check everything out over there at Bayou City Soccer on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. So go check us out. Don't forget, check out the podcast. Well, you're on it right now, but don't forget Movimiento Naranja on Thursdays, Orange and Blueprint on Wednesdays. That's everything Dash related. So go check that out as well with Diego and Manny. But yeah, check out WeGotSoccer, WeGotSoccer.com, Elotes at Elotes Bravos on Instagram, and Ugly Guppy at UglyGuppy.com. And don't forget, BayouCitySoccer.net, where Houston soccer lives.
Yeah, thanks again, Dustyn, man, making your time for us. Thank you so much.
See you boys next week.
We'll send you the check. Hopefully it does not bounce, and we'll see you again, bro. But yeah, thank you guys, everybody, for joining us. What was I gonna say? keep in touch with us, I guess, at this point. But Chris already told everybody how to get there. So, all right, peace. We'll see you next time.